Hey guys, what is up and welcome back to the channel. Now yes, they are finally here. You are joining me for the first of my RWBY breakdown videos. This is going to be an overlook at a certain video from RWBY. I'm going to be discussing it, a little bit of theorizing from it, although if I have a major theory I will make a separate video. And just generally saying what I thought about it, what I liked, if there's anything I didn't like. This will be the first one and this will be the one for the RWBY Volume 6 trailer. And what a trailer it was. You'll have seen my reaction, of course, that will be going up before this will. This is just more so I can talk more in depth and not feel like, rushing it because I'm making a reaction video for a 2-minute or a 1.5 minute video, half an hour long. So this breaks it up a little bit, so neither video is too long, but you get the genuine reaction and you also get my full thoughts on the subject. Also that way, if for those who want to really hear my in-depth thoughts, because when it gets to RWBY I get very in-depth when I come to thinking about it. I look at all the things you can see in a scene, and I will discuss. I'll have theories on it and all kinds of things. So if you just want the main reaction and then like a brief sort of thoughts and discussion about it, the reactions will still be there for those people. But these you can enjoy if you really are into RWBY and you just love hearing thoughts from other RWBY fans. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to get into this. So we start open. For the record, I had some screenshots, so just to get I get notes in order because I've only seen this a few times and I've just watched it, so it's not like with the older volumes of RWBY where I know them inside out in my head. But nonetheless, we start off obviously with a nice landscape shot. It's quite a nice way of starting it. Just shows off the beautiful Maya engine, the work Rooster Teeth put into all their animation. They spend so much time on it. Of course, we've got rolling hills, we're in a forest. Snow covered, of course, because we are heading to Atlas. However, I feel like it's showing a progression of going further north, because in the first shot, as you can see, there is still grass. There are large patches of grass untouched by the snow. But there is, however, snow in place, like on the hills more, so of course obviously snow will get onto the hills first. And then as we progress to see the 4 Team RWBY girls, Crow, Oscar, and some woman who looks Atlesian, like the kind of goggles she's wearing, it looks very like Atlas Tech looking, on Yang's bike, going through a road which is completely snow covered. There is now snow everywhere. It's on the trees, it's on the hills, it's on the path they're travelling down. So we are probably getting right up into Atlas now, where in fact, they could be in the northern territory of Anima, because we do know that is a polar territory, much like Mantle and Atlas, of course. But nonetheless, that's up for debate. But considering, as I said, we picked up an Atlesian-looking woman, I'm going to guess we probably are on the continent of Atlas, at least. We are up on there. And they're not looking particularly happy, although, again, it could just be the long walk. I mean, they've already done that before. But as you are well aware, and I've discussed it before, that I do have concerns about them staying unified and staying undivided. I do have my concerns, which only were made worse by later scenes in this trailer. But anyway, continuing onwards, we get a zoom in. It's not really focusing on Crow or Oscar, and I feel that is very important for this scene, because what this shows here is I feel like it shows discontent. It already some uneasiness within the group, because if you look, Yang is in the back just tired, pushing the bike. She's not really a focus of this scene so much, but Blake and Weiss, especially, RWBY looks worried, and Blake and Weiss almost look in a confrontation with one another. Like Blake and Weiss are not making good faces. Of course, it could be in a common goal and just sharing a disgust of a certain situation, but we just don't know at this point. And I do worry for the unification of Team RWBY going forward. Next up, we have a nice, on the surface, it's like a nice scene. They're obviously at some kind of, I'm not exactly sure where they're meant to be. Maybe they're getting, maybe it's like a train station. They are on a train later on in the trailer, so perhaps, and they've got luggage with them as well. And RWBY and Nora look kind of happy, which is Weiss less so. Well, she could just be like, come on guys, we're supposed to be serious here. But again, not too much from this. Obviously, we're getting into the bigger stuff later on in the trailer, which only makes sense. Of course, it ramps up as time goes on. Then we get to the first real thing we notice. A bunch of dead White Fang. And I noticed where that was immediately. I was like, that is the HQ of the White Fang. That is where the scene took place where Adam murdered Sienna in Volume 5. And it obviously is presumed that Adam has killed these White Fang because, obviously, as stated by Ilya, the White Fang weren't going to stand with him after the fact that he was willing to abandon them, and also he was willing to kill them just to destroy the CCT tower, which was just stupid, frankly. No one was going to benefit from that. They were all going to die anyway. And the only people who would have been hurt were other faunus, the faunus from Menagerie. So no humans would even have been hurt, because of course he claimed like humanity needs to pay for what they've done. That wouldn't have affected humanity, because no humans there would have been hurt, and the CCT was already down because the beacon tower has already been destroyed. So there's already not worldwide communication. Destroying that one would just I mean, yes, it would hamper, of course, local communications, but even in Vale, there is still local communication. So again, it was just stupid, and then it's only further, and also it's pretty graphic, for RWBY. You see the blood for sure, much like with Adam's character short when the guy he killed with the attack with his sword, you saw the blood. And then of course you have a breakdown of Adam, like later on, of course, with him screaming, but we'll get to that later on. Then this next shot, this one confuses me. It's a bunch of people bowing down to someone who is flying. He's not jumping, he's not floating really, he flew, like he descended slowly. And I'm not sure who that is. Now, I mean, because like, the kind of like, yeah, I really don't know. People are bowing. It looks like a village out in like one of these nomads. And I'm not sure who that could be. Someone with the ability to fly. That is not normal. It's not a huntsman. Must be someone from Salem's realm, or like, her group. But I guess we'll have to wait for Volume 6, honestly, just to find that out, because I'm pretty stumped by it. And it does show it does truly show. Obviously, I mentioned it during my Volume 5, like in the late chapters, of course, when the protagonist fought the antagonists. And despite all of Ozpin's training, admittedly, it was only a month of training, but they were so outclassed. Like, especially, of course, with, like, the Knoll, Raven, Cinder, Hazel, like, those, like, obviously Emerald and Mercury less so, and obviously Emerald has her semblance, but nonetheless. But the point, like, they were so outclassed by the whole thing. Ren and Nora together weren't able to take down Hazel until, of course, Hazel made that error of using electricity for Nora. Obviously, Weiss had nothing on the Knoll, despite her not even being the maiden like we thought at the time. So, they've got a long way to go. And then, of course, we get our face shot of our big baddie, Salem. Hopefully entering the fold a bit more prominently than she was in Volume 5, because we really didn't get a lot of her, to be honest, in Volume 5. But it does look like she's gonna be big again in it. For the fact she's continuing her monologue, that of course, she said she started in Volume 1, continued in Volume 3, and now she's continuing it for Volume 6. I wonder if it's going to be like, but every third volume or something we get like another speech from Salem, just to remind you of what you really are fighting. But she does say very interesting things. Like, the whole thing talking about there'll be no victory and strength was a big thing which she was emphasising. And about how the lights will fade, that was the big thing from her first speech. Then in the Volume 3 speech she was saying how she knows a united mankind, a united remnant, faunus, mankind, all of it, is a formidable force to deal with, and it obviously all links to her theme Divide. And from this one, she makes the claims like that Ozpin's ideals are love and all that, you should never lose sight of your ideals, but when they challenge Salem's, they'll be lost to you. But she's saying like, I'm not threatening you with it, it's the truth. Almost like she feels like that is the way of things. which is, like, Salem is very interesting. We still don't know much about her or Ozpin, to be honest. Like, they're both very mysterious figures, obviously each leading either side of the big fight that is still to come within RWBY's universe. The Remnant fight is obviously only just beginning as they head to Atlas. And then, of course, this is probably the moment which was the highlight of the trailer for me. The return of my favourite insane boy, the mad scorpion force that is Tyrion Callows. He is back, and he is squaring up with Emerald, who is fucking terrified, let's be honest. Emerald has not enjoyed a single moment, really, since the fall of Beacon. While I think a redemption arc is getting less likely, because the fact she's still there, but the fact is, now with Cinder gone, what will she do? It's a bit like with Neo, who I believe was confirmed to be alive somewhere in Remnant. They are on the bad guy's side, yes, but they were never specifically working for Salem. Like Cinder, Watts, and Tyrion, and Hazel are. Those four are working for Salem. Emerald and Mercury work for Cinder. And Emerald only, I do feel the only reason that Emerald stayed this long is because she feels like she owes her life to Cinder for saving her from that life on the streets and like struggling to even survive. Because it doesn't matter how good a fighter you are, how good your semblance is. If you starve, you starve. So, but now Cinder's gone. Emerald could either see that as her out, she doesn't have to stay anymore, which could be the reason Tyrion squares up to her to scare her into staying. She could always want to stay there because she wants to get revenge on our heroes for the death, well, what she assumes is the death of Cinder. We know otherwise, of course, from the poster. And also, I just never thought she'd go out like that, to be honest. It's going to be a bigger way, and I do want Jean to be the one, as you all know. Or it could be, but let's be honest, Tyrion didn't think anything of Cinder. Now, if he doesn't think anything of Cinder, what's he gonna be thinking of Emerald? Like, if Cinder is like 1% notable, Emerald's like, it doesn't matter. It's such a tiny amount, you wouldn't even be able to notice it. So he could just be like, squaring up with her, like, fuck, I don't give a shit about you. Again, it could go either way. Or again, it could be on Salem's behalf. Maybe Salem wants to keep her on side, and she knows Tyrion is blindly loyal to Salem. So maybe it'll be for that reason. But who knows? Either way, I'm super excited to see one of my favourite characters returning to the screen. And of course, it just gets more serious, like, you know, when he comes out and thing, like, obviously he has like his sarcastic smile, and then of course it goes to the deadly smile. It goes from the sarcastic Tyrion to like, I'm gonna slit your throat kind of Tyrion that we do know. And I love. Don't know about everyone else, but I do. I love the man. I love the mad villain. It's why I enjoyed Roman Torchwick. He was like, you know, the fun, like sassy villain. And Tyrion is just like the madly insane villain, which I fucking love. On the train, at least with Oscar around, they're smart enough to get a train this time. And there are Grimm flying around. You can see Oscar looking out the window. I mean, it could be Ozpin, we don't know. He does not speak in this scene. But there are Grimm which look a bit like Griffins, but it was unclear exactly. They're probably not. Maybe they're probably going to be a new Grimm, to be honest. We're going to a new area, and the Grimm most likely change depending on where you are. Of course, you'll get constants like Nevermores and Beowulfs and Ursas, I imagine. But I imagine some of the other Grimm will be more exclusive to certain regions of the planet. Obviously, we know we're going to be getting the Manticore Grimm, which is a massive Grimm. Like, and I mean massive. It's probably... Is it going to be the biggest Grimm we've seen? I mean, obviously we've got Kevin, you know, the dragon from Volume 3, but... It's a big Grimm nonetheless. It's going to be probably like one of a kind, probably. Much like the Nuclear Grimm and the Dragon and the Sea Grimm. We're all one of a kind. Who knows? Again, only time will tell. So they're flying around, and obviously you presume that they're the ones that begin attacking the train, as we do see that. Of course, RWBY with her semblance has got very good. Actually, they're able to weave through a crowd of people now. Not like it's in a straight line, but she can fully weave to get through an area, which is pretty cool. It's nice to see the characters evolving. As Ozpin said, unlocking your semblance isn't the end. You continue to improve and evolve it. And as Salem said in the world of Remnant on Yeah, on aura, if you keep training and you focus enough, your aura turns you into something much more than just a man. And of course they use Osmond as a silhouette, so it could mean you could become a greater being, if you will, if you can get to that point. But the thing is, most people probably don't have time to get that far, because number one, they're huntsmen, which, as Roman said in Volume 3, if you want to be a huntsman, die like every other huntsman in history, so they might die before they get that chance, or purely human life just isn't long enough. Ozpin's had thousands of lifetimes to reach such a state, the status of more than just a man. So that could be another thing. Another thing I'm so happy to see, we've only seen it once properly, and twice if you count the Volume 5 fight very briefly. Harbinger in Scythe form, used to slice a big Grim. I'm going to assume it's one of the ones that was flying outside the train, because they've obviously come out to defend the train, because anyone else on board wouldn't be able to fight them. And it's like I've always said, people always say they want to see more of the Scythe. I get it. I want to see more of the Scythe too. I'm a Crow cosplayer. He's my favourite character. I love him. I use the Scythe with my cosplay. But, in fact, you can probably see it just over there, actually. It's in a rebuild process. I'm having to replace parts of it. But anyway, the point is, the reason we see the sword way more often than the Scythe, it's because the sword, I mean, let's be honest, at the moment, obviously Huntsmen originally, they're made to fight the creatures of Grimm. However, in the story of RWBY and the way things are going, our heroes are mainly fighting human or faunus opponents. Fighting Cinder, Hazel and Tyrion, all that. They're fighting agile, smart human opponents. The sword is far more wieldy. It is not as big, and you can hit faster with it. The scythe is massive. It's a two-handed blade, and it's a slow weapon. Like, it will deal a devastating attack, but it's slow, and quite frankly, it would be too slow to fight these agile, smart, skilled enemies that they are facing. However, here we see it cutting straight through a massive Grim, because that's what the scythe is designed for. It is designed when you're fighting a Grim which is very big and well armoured, that the sword just isn't going to cut it. No pun intended. Like, either you're going to have to stab them so many times with the sword to do enough damage to kill it, or in some cases, as we saw when RWBY fought the Beringal Grim, I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce it, but none of the Gorilla Grim, where they have such tough armour, or like the Death Stalker, for example, they have armour that's tougher, and you need a stronger weapon to get through it. That's what the scythe is designed for, and I'm glad we're going to be seeing it in action again. Of course, we saw it originally when Crow leapt through the air, saving Ironwood from the Griffin which was about to kill him, and very briefly he brings it out to kind of block Hazel from Oscar, which is, thank fuck you did that, Crow, because otherwise Oscar would not be in a good way right now if Hazel's fist has met his head. Now, we're at some kind of bar, or some, like, you know, secret thing, like, where obviously you've got a bunch of people wearing the same kind of thing, so clearly in some secret organisation. Got Lien on the table, some kind of deal maybe to be made, information, anything, we have no idea. Quite frankly, we don't know where they're going to go with that. So, only time will tell. Got some nice fight shots again, of course, Jean and Nora, actually, that's quite a nice combo. You've got like Jean kind of blocking some of the damage while Nora's firing her grenade launcher at the Grim. Obviously, imagine you're going to have all of them. You're going to have, you know, Team RWBY, Crow, the rest, the remaining members of Team Juniper, Oscar probably as well, like all fighting against these Grim. And it's so nice to see how far they've come, like, at least, obviously, unlike in the Vital Festival tournament, hopefully, like, it looks like Team Juniper have worked out their combos and fighting in tandem with one another, not just being able to fight on their own. Same thing with RWBY, with her Scythe, although she was, in this scene at least, fighting on her own, just like, it was a nice transition shot, of course, the Scythe in shot to make the transition. From an animation standpoint, beautiful. I love how they did that, to be honest. And I've got to say, like, the particle physics are so amazing now in RWBY. We saw it with the water a lot in Volumes 4 and 5 of Menagerie, of course. We saw the rolling forests in Mistral and now in Atlas as well. And the snow as well. Like, do you remember the snow that they had? I mean, obviously the Red trailer, and like even at the end of Volume 3 we saw snow. But looking at the snow falling in this trailer is just beautiful. Let's just take a moment for that. Then we got another shot with the relic on the floor for some reason. Obviously, we saw at the beginning of the trailer, RWBY has it attached to her side. It looks smaller. I'm not entirely sure. I will maybe have another look into that. But it looked kind of smaller than it was like when Yang was holding it up. Like when Yang held it, it was like from her eye level down to probably like here. So it looked kind of bigger. Like whereas RWBY, it looked like it was attached to her belt in a way. So maybe it could be changed size. Who knows? Regardless, it's sitting in the snow and RWBY is kind of looking over to it, I guess, to pick it up because she ends up carrying it. That's probably set chronologically earlier than the first scene of the trailer. Team RWBY. Now, this is another one which does raise questions. Looking at the girls, Yang is angry, and her weapon is out. Now, none of the other girls had their weapons out. Why does Yang have hers? I feel like, as I said, if anyone is going to be not feeling the cause, it's Yang. We saw that in Volume 5 with the talk with Ozpin after she left Raven. And we don't know where she's going to go with it. She only really stayed because of RWBY. Sorry, excuse me. Back to our bad guys. And again, Emerald looks worried. I mean, we all know Emerald hasn't really smiled since Volume 3, but she looks genuinely scared. Salem is talking directly to her. She probably doesn't enjoy that, especially with Cinder being gone. Again, maybe Salem's just trying to keep her on side. Who knows? To be honest, like, so many questions come from this. We don't know where Emerald will stand. We really don't. She could go, as I said before, there's like 3 different directions she could go. And all of them make sense, that's the thing. So there is no way of telling. And we've seen, at this point, up to this point, until Volume 5, right at the end, Salem hadn't really gone out directly to kill anyone. She, of course, had Lionheart killed at the end of Volume 5. So we know that she's... Because before that, she didn't really seem too much about the killing. She didn't want RWBY dead. You get the idea she certainly didn't ask Superior to be killed. I mean, you should assume that Sinner took that upon herself to do that. So, what's she going to do with Emerald? We'll have to wait and see. Who knows what Emerald's fate will be. Back to Adam, who clearly still in his breakdowns, losing it even more. He's like probably even more broken now since his failure at Haven Academy. His attack failed, his revenge on Blake failed, and by extension his revenge on humanity. He hasn't kept his promise by taking away what she loves. He's lost the support of the White Fang and even gone and killed them, presumably. Like, he has lost everything Adam wanted is gone. And who knows what is going to be happening to him. I'm very intrigued. While I hate the son of a bitch, I'm intrigued to see where they're going. Of course, the fact that he was the only character short for Volume 6, he's going to be a pivotal enemy in the midst of Volume 6. The next shot, he's literally just taken out his anger on the chair. He just slashed like a corner of the throne off. It just shows like he's lost it. His cognitive thinking is really out the window at this point. His reasoning is gone. His motives are purely now, is 100% personal to get revenge on Blake and humanity really, but more Blake. Like despite, because Blake left. That's what it boils down to. It's all about trying to make it right in his mind against Blake. And then we get to something which, again, raises yet more questions. And this is what I was referring to when I say it backs up my theory on Ozpin and the Oscar situation. I do not think what Ozpin said is true about the way the souls merge. I mean, let's be honest. Ozpin lies a lot of the time, and when he tells the truth, it's often a half-truth. He claims the souls merge. I do not think that is the case. I think it is Ozpin takes over, because if you think about it, the voice that the Professor Ozpin we knew from Volumes 1 to 3 had is the voice in Oscar's head. Now, if the souls really merge, and the new host just gained all of Ozpin's memories and abilities, why would the voice of the previous form be the same as the one that carries over to the next? That doesn't really make sense, because it's Ozpin that moves on, not the original host. Like, when Oscar dies, Oscar's not the one that moves on to the next host, it's Ozpin, the consciousness of Ozpin. And the fact, obviously, I questioned it right up until the point where Ozpin took control of Oscar in the fight with Hazel without asking. I was always worried that if Ozpin could do it by for himself, it was going to come into play. And even if it isn't a hostile takeover, the friction is still going to be caused, because I am calling it now, I've already said it. There is going to be a moment in Volume 6, probably, and if not in Volume 6 somewhere, where Ozpin and Oscar are going to have a major disagreement about what to do. And the fact is, Ozpin can just assume control. Unless, because I say, with Oscar being on the ground, like, struggling, I think it's I'm theorizing one of two things. Either it's Ozpin, like, trying to take, like, it's Ozpin taking control, Oscar losing himself, maybe, and he's trying to repel it, I guess. Or it could be Ozpin is trying to do what he did in Volume 5 with Hazel. He's trying to assume control, and maybe Oscar is learning to fight back. Maybe he's learning to resist it. A bit like, for any of you who watch Red vs. Blue, Church, I forget which season it was in, but Church claims that Lopez was beginning to resist the ability for Church to take over his body. And I think maybe it's very possible a similar thing could be happening with Oscar and Ozpin. He's learning to be able to resist the takeover if Oscar does not consent to it. So who knows, but again, my theory only being made more so. And then the next shot, even more questions. Yang is looking, like, all the girls are looking down at Oscar, but Yang is angry. Like, Blake's like, I mean, I assume she's got this like, hold on, like, don't do anything. Or it could be, I mean, is she reaching for her sword? Because of course her sword is back there as well, but I think it's more because her hand is out, so like, she's thinking, guys, stop. Ruby looks worried, why is this guy just in the background not doing too much? But Yang is like looking angrily at him. And I don't know why, I mean, I really don't. I have theorized, of course, I think there is going to be some divide among the team again. Like, I think, like, Ruby and Blake may side with Ozpin's thinking, and Weiss and Yang might side with Oscar's way of thinking. It was certainly the way Volume 5 set it up. Then the fact, if you look at where the characters are placed on the trailer for the poster, rather, for Volume 6, Blake and Ruby on one side, Weiss and Yang on the other, and Oscar and Ozpin are also on the relevant side for that theory to be true. So, who knows. Back on the, back elsewhere with our heroes, we have Jean and Nora up in the forefront with this new character again. With this woman with like the techie Atlas looking goggles or whatever the hell they are. I thought like she's gonna be like someone full of wisdom. Like she's clearly, she's old clearly, that's from the look of her. She's gonna be like full of wisdom maybe, like helping them on their journey. Who knows? I mean, I'm very intrigued by this character. The fact that they've chosen to put her in a few of these scenes from this short 1.5 minute trailer. She appears, I mean, technically twice, because the two scenes with the bike are, you presume, at the same time, pretty much. And then here with Jean and Nora. Of course, a nice shot here with Ren and Nora in tandem, because of course they, unlike all the other of our heroes, they have had years of practice fighting together, and they've only honed that ability at Beacon and on the road since they left Patch. Fighting these Grimm, and boy do those Grimm look cool. Are these Manticore Grimm? I'm not sure, because they're not Griffin. Like, 100% at this shot, it's not a Griffin you're looking at. And it kind of looks a bit like, because unfortunately the arms are kind of blocking the face, although probably that was on purpose, to obscure it a little bit until actually Volume 6 comes out. But nonetheless, that does actually look like the Manticore Grimm. It's got like the kind of the main looking thing coming out, like the massive claws, and it is big. Look at it. It's covering the entire train car in front of them. It's a big Grimm that they're going to fight. And Red is spinning Nora into the attack. But let's be honest, Red is not the most powerful of fighters, whereas Nora is good with heavy hits. That she can do. She is the one that took down the Geist Grimm in Volume 4, because she has a powerful weapon. Its melee form with a hammer is a very strong melee, probably the strongest of the melees of our main characters, and the fact that she's got the only explosive, like properly explosive weapon of our main heroes as well. I know Yang's got her explosive shotgun shells, but they're not quite the same. It's like an explosive round fire from a gun versus a grenade, which is what Nora's weapon is. It's a grenade launcher. So that makes sense. Then you've got two blurs on the train flying outside, which you assume is... I'm going to assume is RWBY and Weiss, obviously, because we know RWBY can do that. She can... Because it looks like RWBY with her speed, obviously, with her semblance. And when she grabbed Nora, it was pink with electricity, because Nora is obviously her colour is pink. And she was charged with electricity at the time because of the new upgrade to her weapon, allowing her to channel her electricity to the weapon as well as herself. So you see like RWBY and Weiss moving in for an attack, I guess, on the Grim above the train. This is all, you imagine, taking place in the same scene, the massive fight on the train against these Grim, which I assume at least some to be Manticore. And again, back to Oscar on the ground shouting no. Now, yes, this could be him maybe seeing someone in danger, and like... But again, I think it would be much better from a writing standpoint, again, if he's like resisting Ozpin, he's like, or he's either resisting Ozpin's takeover of the body, or he's very, very strongly disagreeing with something Ozpin wants to do and Oscar feels strongly against it. But either way, it still boils down to Ozpin and Oscar being at ends with one another, and them not seeing eye to eye. Again, no pun intended there. I feel like Barbara has infected my mind sometimes. And of course, finally back to Salem for one last time. And the way they did it was quite good. Obviously, it's like her in a very kind of like powerful stance, like her hands out, a very sort of overseeing stance, and then obviously the fact that it's like flashing and then zooming into her as it flashes towards her, like the evil is coming. The evil is, in fact, it draws back to, I think it was in Time to Say Goodbye, like the enemy is drawing closer, like the evil just draws closer, and that's true. So I guess they've done that physically in this trailer, and again, beautiful as a way from a writing and animation standpoint. It's very poetic and very well done with the animation. And finally, of course, it ends. So the GIF that we actually were used, which is all I saw before I watched the trailer, the GIF was the very end scene of the trailer, which is Team RWBY and Crow, of course, on the train with their weapons ready. Well, I mean, kind of. RWBY's is in gun form, and Crow obviously draws his sword. And a nice callback to Volume... I guess technically Volume 3, which in itself was a callback to Volume 1. Because, of course, RWBY comes up with the plan to kill the Nevermore in Volume 1. And then, of course, in Volume 3 they reference it where RWBY says she has a plan, and Weiss going, that you always do. And the fact that she asked RWBY, like, what's the plan? And RWBY could not have come up with a better answer. Like, no one else dies. Like, we've had enough death. We've lost too much. That is our plan. Just make sure everyone gets through this alive. And then, of course, it ends with saying RWBY Volume 6, the premiere on October 27th. I think this trailer was so well done. Oh, it did the thing where it changes over. Anyway, yes. It was very well done, this trailer. They've cut things together beautifully, done some brilliant work with the cameras. Again, like I say, the zoom in on Salem, the nice transition with the weapons. And, like, the camera followed the RWBY and Weiss super speed thing to the right, which then went into another scene. It was very well done. And they're trying different camera angles, different settings on top of the train, in the forest, Salem's realm, the White Fang HQ. So we're getting a bunch of locations for Volume 6 as well, which is always nice, because that was a thing that I feel made Volumes 4 and 5 like a bit more interesting. Was obviously Volumes 1 to 3, it was almost all in Beacon, like pretty much. You had a little bit of looking around Vale, obviously, and that was really it. Obviously we finally got Salem's realm, which was obviously suddenly threw everything out the window, and that's when the show really began. Hence the name of the episode, End of the Beginning. Like Volumes 1 to 3, they were the setup. Like, that was just setting the scene for what's really going to happen in this show. So, yeah, I guess that will do it probably for this. I've gone through scene by scene of this trailer. This was only 1.5 minutes, and see, I had this much to say. This is why I wanted to start doing these videos. However, I may also do brief versions of these, just in case anyone is interested in that. Leave your thoughts in the comments. I definitely will be doing reactions and reviews for each episode that comes out. And when I say review, it's more like it's mainly a breakdown video. In all, I'll probably title it breakdown / review, because I'm always going to enjoy a new RWBY episode, whether it be a trailer, a character short. I mean, if World of Ribbon ever makes a return, or anything else that they decide to do as a piece of supplementary content for the show, I'm going to be making videos, reactions and reviews for each one of those, and just breaking down what happened in each one, scene by scene, and also talking about what they could mean, things you may have missed, things I'm thinking about from theories, and like if they've referenced anything like that. But nonetheless, I do hope you enjoyed this. If you do, please give it a like, a thumbs up. Comment what you thought about the episode and anything about its reaction. Do you have any thoughts about this that I didn't think about? Do you agree with any of my thoughts and theories on this episode? And of course, subscribe so that if you want to see my Volume 6 journey as it, continues, but starts properly on October 27th. And until then, I hope you all have a wonderful, fantastic day. And I'll see you in the Volume 6 premiere. Take care.